You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 5th, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Board of Public Works and Safety. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good morning, Michigan City. Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, August 5th, 2024. This is a regular scheduled meeting for the Board of Works and Public Safety, or Public Works and Safety. I'll call it to order and I'll call the roll. Mr. Simmons?
Present.
Ms. Tisdale?
Present.
Ms. Smith is absent. Ms. Moore?
Present.
And Attorney LePage?
Present.
And Mr. York is present. We have a quorum. Our first order of business today is approval of minutes for the regular hybrid Zoom meeting for July 15th, 2024. Do I hear a motion or any changes?
Motion to approve as read. Presented. Excuse me.
Support.
Call for the roll. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business is approval of minutes for a special hybrid Zoom meeting dated July 30th, 2024. Do I hear a motion on that too?
Motion for approval.
Support.
I'll call for the roll. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith? Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Moore?
Ms. Moore? Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Sorry about that. Our first order of business today, actually, I'm going to have Mr. Andrew Metanek, who I do believe is here, come up, and I'm going to have him do two things because we have some issues with some fiber in the city and he needs to get out of here. Our first order of business today on this agenda is awarding of a proposal for the Planning and Inspections Department. And this is our planning and inspection software. Andy, I want to have you start it out and just talk a little bit about it. Actually, I'll start it out and talk a little bit about it. We had four proposals that came in. One of them was SDL, Spatial Data Logic, and one of them was Cloud Permit. The other one was Citizen Serve, and I cannot remember the name of the other one.
City Reporter.
City Reporter. So we interviewed all four of the applicants, and I will be honest, from review of their proposals to where we ended up was quite surprising. But I think I guess the cream of the crop rose to the top, and we ended up going with a Cloud Permit. But I'm going to let you explain a little bit about why we did that and the API and things like that.
All right, good morning, everyone. Andrew Metanek, Information Technology. We went through a very extensive evaluation of the four different products that we looked at for permitting inspection software. We went through demonstrations with each one of these companies for few hours at a minimum. They often turned into multiple meetings with a few of these companies, and going through the different things that we were looking for an inspection and permitting software, just with compatibility with the user interface for both what the public would be using and also for the staff members. After a few different evaluations, after a few different meetings, it became very apparent to everyone in the inspection department and the permitting department that Cloud Permit was definitely the most user-friendly software of any of the ones that we have looked at. It was very intuitive. Some of the other ones, they were doing demonstrations with us, and we would be in an hour-long demonstration, and it was basically an hour-long note-taking just to be able to do a couple simple tasks that they were trying to show to us. It was not easy at all, and we were very nervous about how long this would take for our users to actually learn and be able to use their products effectively. But Cloud Permit was very intuitive, and after a few minutes, it seemed like everybody that was in on our meetings evaluating this felt very comfortable with it. We also went ahead and looked at what compatibility each one of the products has, and as that was very important to us. We did not want to create something that was an island that was not able to talk to any of our other systems that we have in the city. We wanted to make sure that this product could go ahead and interact with a lot of our other software platforms, so we could have a single pane of glass, so to speak, to be able to view permitting, and then also be able to go into our work order systems, which is a separate system in the city here. And so we looked at all four of these companies, and Cloud Permit, which was the one we liked the best from the user interface, also was far better with any type of connections to our existing software. A few of the other companies didn't even offer connectivity to any of our other systems, but Cloud Permit absolutely could accommodate what we needed. And we also went ahead, we wanted to add a few other extra features for some extra data transfer between Cloud Permit and our other systems. And we proposed what we're looking to do with Cloud Permit, and they embraced it. And we were able to adjust the contract to actually state the different things that we wanted to have done. And they were very eager to make accommodations for us so we could connect even more systems to their platform. Now, each one of these systems we looked at, they are all cloud-based, meaning they're all on the internet. And that's very important to us, because we want to have something that's going to be on the internet so we can have our inspectors and code enforcement people out in the field be able to go ahead and use a tablet or their smartphone or whatever they have and be able to access the system to be able to do inspections and look at permits and whatnot. And this system, all of them had this, but Cloud Permit definitely was the fastest, most robust that we've found as well. And this also ties in Cloud Permit along with the other ones too, but Cloud Permit ties in with our existing mapping system, so graphical information system, GIS, that we have in the city here. It uses all that connection back to that. So, the objective of this whole project was, when we do a new software system for permit inspection, we're not having to take it out of one system, manually enter it into another, just so we can have that data shared across the different departments or on different types of systems. So the Cloud Permit software could talk directly to our database, which is our GIS system database that is also cloud-based, and be able to transfer that information right into there. So that becomes very useful for collaboration between other city departments, along with reporting that can be done as well for that. The prices for all these, they varied a little bit. Some had different types of pricing models. The Citizen Reporter was initially, at first glance, is the cheapest, which was $5,000 a year base cost, but they want to charge $475 per user per year. And we want to make it so we can share with as many city departments and as city users as possible. And I'm fear that with that price, it could get up to where the other ones are very quickly. Also, City Reporter rather was one of the least favorite while we evaluated. None of the staff members that evaluated this with us cared much for City Reporter. We also looked at Citizen Serve, which they wanted roughly $60,000 to implement. And then City Serve wanted $23,600 per year to maintain. And the other program we looked at was SDL, which was roughly $58,300 to start, and then $52,000 a year reoccurring. And they had no long-term pricing out there; it was just per year, so it was subject to change, and they wouldn't give us any type of budgeting forecast beyond the initial 1 year. And then Cloud Permit came up with for initial implementation of $23,000 for implementation, with a $33,000 per year, but that's for 5 years. Each year, $33,000. And for what this is going to be able to allow the inspection and permitting department to do, I think this is going to be a great tool. It's going to allow for very quick access to all permitting inspection business. It'll also features an online payment portal, so instead of having to have individuals call in and make payments, they'll be able to do things online. So it's going to make payments online. So I think this is going to give us a lot of functionality that we've been lacking with our current system. So.
It also interfaces with when we get our new website set up. It'll be a landing page. Citizens will set up an account, go there, you can enter in your documents, your construction documents, upload PDFs, and it's all saved. When I asked how much space, they were like, it's limitless. There's no limit to the amount of space. So right now we've run into those issues before. We also made sure that it will talk to our current financial software. So that we made sure of that as well. Any other questions of Andy?
What happens at the end of the 5-year period?
At the end of the 5-year period, we would have to go back to Cloud Permit and then negotiate a new rate at that time. The data that's held on Cloud Permit is our data. So if Cloud Permit decided to raise the rates up exponentially, we would have our own data. We could search for a different provider at that time.
Yeah.
Andy, one of the complaints I hear in the public is the turnaround time for permitting, that it takes too long. Will this speed that process up?
Based off of the what we're looking at right now and evaluating, I believe it will. I don't see how it going to do anything but speed it up considerably. I mean, just from going through meeting with the inspections department extensively on this project, just hearing how much manual process is involved right now. This should speed it up considerably. We're going to remove a lot of the manual steps that we have, and it's going to allow the citizens or contractors to be able to actually track what's going on with their permits as well. So it's not going to be having to call up to inspection department and go, where are we at with this particular thing? They will be able to log in and check and see where they're at, where this is actually at that time. So
Yeah, it should cut down a lot on a lot of time is spent going out, and then you have to come back and log in your permits or your inspections, what you saw and then you're giving the approval, but you have to log it in what you saw. That can all be done in the field now, and we're going to look at tablets for all of our inspectors for out in the field. At least that's the next step of my understanding, right? And then they'll be able to do their inspections, which is what they've been asking me for about 5 years now, to be able to do their inspections in the field. And that way they're not taking notes and then coming back here and having to translate that into type it all in. They'll be able to do everything right there. And also it'll work a lot on drop down menus, because basically a lot of inspections are the same. You go look at one roof, it's the same roof. Is it got its ice shield? Yes, checkbox, bam. It's like that, rather than writing it and having to come back and kind of type up a report. So it will create the report for you. It does the same thing with code enforcement as well.
yes.
So code enforcement will be a lot more. They won't have to go out, inspect, and come back here and write a letter to the person that they need to take the couch out of their front yard or whatever. It will be out there. They'll check the box. It communicates back. It will create a letter actually for them. So it's a much more efficient program that we'll be working on, and it will hook with the other program, Kintone, which is what Andy's talking about, communicating with our other programs. We already use Kintone. We wanted to make sure. So Andy took the time to hook the two people up together so that they could make arrangements. And actually they were pretty excited about being able to work with Kintone on that. So any other questions of Andy? I don't want to belabor him.
President York, just for the record, the first year for the software would be $56,000. For the next year 2, 3, 4, and 5, each year respectively, it's $33,000. We do have ARPA funds for at least the first, possibly the second year. So we do, for the record, we have a certificate of non-debarment or suspension because federal funding will be used.
Absolutely. I forgot about that. What else was I going to say? Any other questions of Andy? All right, Andy, I'm going to open up for public comment, and then we'll go to your next one.
Yes, Tommy Kolabic, 1316 Ohio. So I'm very excited to have this new city's website. This is something that every modern day American city in the United States of America should have. It's not like the ones we've had now and in the past. I think it's going to be great, and I think it's going to be worth every penny. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Anything online? Nothing. Okay. Hearing no other comments, I'll close public comment. Any other questions of Andy? I know that if we get this approved today or can approve this today or choose to approve this today, we can get started immediately. They actually have their IT support is based in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll be able to pop over here and help us get started immediately. Any questions of Andy? Anything else you want clarity on? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Moore,
Resounding aye.
chair votes aye as well. Andy, I really, really appreciate your time and attention to this. I couldn't have done it. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to keep you up here because you have an addendum item, and then I'll let you go. Our next order of business is an addendum. Andrew Metanek, IT Director, is requesting the approval of a non-appropriation addendum between Great America Financial Services Corporation and the City of Michigan City for central maintenance's new copy machine. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'll just jump in real quick.
Absolutely.
So at the last meeting, the board approved a new copier machine. This was one of their standard forms that they forgot to include at that time. What this form says is that if for some reason because it's a 5-year contract, if for some reason in future years that we don't have funding appropriated for possibly year 3, year 4, year 5, what we do is just give them 30 days notice before that next fiscal year, and we can return the equipment without any penalty.
You have anything else to add?
No, I don't.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So you didn't need to be here for that. Any questions of Amber or of Andy with this? Okay, hearing none, I'll open up for public comment. Any public comment? Anything online? Okay, I'll close public comment section. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to move forward on the copy machine process. Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Andy, again. Our next order of business tonight is a request for special purchase. The Michigan City Police Department is requesting to trade in 75 Gen 5 Glock 26 and use the trade-in value to purchase 85 Glock 5, or I'm sorry, Gen 5 Glock 43 X's for a total of $31,331.00. Chief
Morning, Board.
How are you?
Dave Cooney, Chief of Services with the Michigan City Police Department. As stated, we had $9,000 budgeted for this year regarding replacement of the Glock 26s. Those are from retirements that we've had over the past several years that we have not replaced yet. In our contract, retiring officer with more than 20 years is allowed to retain their duty and off-duty weapon as part of their retirement, and we have not purchased any new ones. Lieutenant King took it upon himself to look into the trade-in to move to the 43X, which is a more compact, single-stack, lighter backup weapon. And we think that it would be better for everyone on the department to have something like that. With the trade-in value, won't cost any more money than the original $9,000 that was going to we were going to use to purchase the 26s.
Any questions of Chief?
When was the last time you upgraded on the department weapons?
The Gen 5s that we have now were probably purchased 6 or 7 years ago. We're probably getting to the point of looking into that. We brought it up last year about doing a slow transition into new weapons because there are new optics that we could get and makes it's a little bit easier to shoot with. So that is something we're going to look for here in the future.
Any other questions of Chief Coon? Any I'll open it up for public comment. Any public comment?
Yeah, Tommy Kulavic, 1316 Ohio Street. Like she said, these guns are a lot lighter. They're only like 17 ounces. They only have like 10 rounds in their magazine. And you only need to shoot somebody one time. I mean, it's this is kind of a no-brainer that this be purchased and bought. You know, thank you.
Morning, Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place. I'm only confused. Is this replacing the bulk of the weapons or just the backup weapons, or how many weapons are involved in this? Just curious. Thank you.
And I'm gonna let Chief Cooney, I believe it's your
It's just a backup or off-duty weapon, yes.
off duty, yeah. Yes, and we're replacing 75. We're trading in 75, but we're purchasing 85. Correct. Okay. Any other public comment? Anything online? Drew stepped out for a minute. I hear no public comment. I'll open it up. Is any other questions of Chief Cooney? Sounds like they're getting a good deal on the purchase. Yeah. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Miss Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Chief. Our next order of business is a request for a special event and road closure. The Frank and Edward Squat American Legion Post 451 is requesting the following: to host their annual Labor Days Festival on September 7th, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. To close Washington Street from May Street to Squat Legion Ave and Squat Legion Ave in front of the building on September 7th, 2024 from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I do believe you have a correction, if that's correct. Okay. Tell us a little bit about it. We know you do this every year. So
Socrates Grade 2030 Warnke Road. Yeah, every year we do the Labor Days event, and so we have dunk tanks, and there's a ride for the riders. But we should have had the street closure till 11 p.m. from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m.
that seems like a reasonable change. Do we have everything in order for this one, Amber?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Gray? I'll open it up for public comment. Any public comment on this? Hearing none, I'll close public comment. Anything online? I'll close public comment. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the closing of the streets for the annual Labor Days Festival.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you for continuing to do what you do. Thank you. Property acquisition. The Michigan City Parks Department is requesting the Singing Sands Trail property acquisition for parcel 2, parcel 12, and parcel 20. I don't know if Shannon's here to talk about this, but
We talked to Shannon
Okay.
Friday beforehand in case she wasn't here. So this request property acquisition, it should be the same as the purchase of property on the next one on the list. So it's the same thing. But for purposes of Singing Sands Trail, we need to acquire what we have listed on here as parcel 2. We need an easement through parcel 12, and we need to purchase a part of parcel 20. Parcel 2 would be in the amount of $4,600, parcel 12 in the amount of $1,000, and parcel 20 in the amount of $1,300. Funding of this is already received through the grant that we've got on it. So we just need the board to approve the acquisition of the easement and the parcels.
Any questions of Amber about this? This would allow us to start to continue the trail on through the city. That's basically what we're doing. Any public comment on this? Anything online? Okay, hearing none, we'll close public comment. Do I hear a motion from the board?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Mrs. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, so our next piece of, next order of business is purchase of property. The City of Michigan City Parks Department is requesting to purchase two parcels 2, 12, and 20 for the Singing Sands Trail Phase 3.
Mr. President, we already did that.
Is it all the same,
it's
or
all
do we need 2 votes? Sorry.
No, you do not need to
Okay,
vote. It's
I'm
all
sorry.
the same.
Yep. Okay, just making sure. All right, we'll go on. Next order of business is a contract. This is a Michigan City Public Art Committee is requesting approval of an artist contract for a mural at Gardena Park. Are they here today? Don't see anyone. Don?
So again, I spoke with Shannon on Friday. She advised that the park board and the public art committee have already approved this, that there is funding available. So what this would be is a contract with an artist named Chris Silva in the amount of $6,500, painting of murals on the roof cables and also the doors and painting of garbage cans.
Awesome. Sounds like a good project. Any questions of this contract? Okay, hearing none. I'll open up for public comment. Any public comment? All right. Anything online? Okay, I'll close public comment. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Mrs. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Motion approved. Our chair votes aye as well. Motion approved. Our next order of business is a request for stop sign. Angela Schrahan of 317 Holiday Street is requesting a 4-way stop at Case Street and Holiday Street. I'm looking back at the city engineer and Corporal Wright. Have you guys had time to look this over? Do you have a recommendation? I'm putting you on the spot. Good morning.
Corporal Brian Wright, Commander, Michigan City Police Traffic Division. I was actually just talking with the engineer, and I apologize, I haven't had time with all of our events going on to look at crash data. However, off the top of my head, I cannot think of anything that has happened there over however many years. There is a stop sign on Case, so Holiday is a traveled through road, so everybody on Case has to stop. My opinion is to leave it how it is.
Okay. Is that the opinion of the engineer? I'm sorry, I'm going to get you up here one way or the other.
Tim Werner, city engineer, ditto.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Any questions of Corporal Wright or city engineer from the board? Okay, I'll close that. I'll have public comment.
Yes, Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio. I'm really familiar with that because we used to own property right just a block away from that at Tryon and Holiday Street. And we already put a 4-way stop there at Tryon and Holiday like 4 years ago. It was approved. I really don't think we need another one. It is really bad there. You know, the crime there has been unspeakable, but I just don't think we need another 4-way stop in the city. It's like Candace say, we want to put a 4-way stop at every intersection in the city.
Any other public comments? Anything online? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion from the board, or what's the pleasure of the board? What would you like to do?
Decline. I'll go along with the recommendation of FCPD and the engineer.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
In support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Moore.
I'm sorry, Miss Moore. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Miss Moore. Miss Moore. It's still early. Miss Moore, what's your It's been a long weekend. I echo Corporal Wright. Ms. Moore, did you vote? Okay. Chair votes aye. Chair votes aye as well. So we are denying the stop sign, the four-way stop at 317 Holiday Street, the four-way stop at Case Street and Holiday. Okay, our next order of business is a request for parking signs. Councilman Don Prespolinski is requesting temporary reserved parking signs at 201 East 10th Street until the double track parking garage is complete. Don, can you tell us a little bit about it? And I did speak with the lady this weekend at this location, and I could kind of jump in as well.
Yeah. Morning, everybody. Don Prespolinski, City Councilman at Large, and the resident at 201 East 10th Street called me a couple of weeks ago, and so I talked to her. And what the issue is, 201 East 10th Street is located right on the corner of Pine and 10th Street. Right across the street is where they're constructing the parking garage. And in order for the city, in order for the construction to take place, they had to close off that section of Pine Street. So her garage, which is a two-car garage, they have the construction fence right next to her garage. So she has no access to her garage for parking there. She has no access for parking on Pine Street right next to her house. And she has no parking in the alleyway behind her house, although other houses on 10th Street in that block do have parking in the rear of the houses. Her house doesn't have that. So she did tell me that she was parking in the South Shore passenger parking lot, which is just south of her house on the other side of the alley. But that Nicky told her that she can't park there during this time period. So what she's requesting is to have two parking spots reserved in front of her house for herself and her daughter. And those are the two residents that are there, because what happens in the morning, and I took a ride there this morning before I came here, is she says that generally when they leave, the contractors are waiting right behind her to pull in right there to park their trucks. And that was the case this morning. So this is going to go on for another year and a half, 2 years, as long as this parking garage is going to be constructed. And then when the other construction is going to be being done on the apartment building, I'm sure it's going to be the case there also, because these are like two primo parking spots there for people just to park and walk to their job site. And then the other thing, and I did hear, the contractors, they might not have a place to park. Well, the South Shore did set up a parking lot just south of the paper box company over there on Pine Street, and I think that's Warren Street coming up from Franklin. So there's a whole parking lot right there for passengers to park there. And I'm sure if the contractors were told, move from where you're parking now, and you got this whole parking lot over here, it's a block away, okay? And it's a short block. It's not a long block, it's a short block. So they could possibly park there. So I'm just trying to come up with a solution for, the contractors where they could park at. So that's what the basis of the request is to have two reserved spots for these folks until the construction is done, so they have somewhere to park in front of their home. Because right now, they have none. There's nothing on the west side of their home. Their garage is blocked off. There's nowhere on the south side. And depending on who gets there first and who leaves and all that, there's no parking in front of their house. So that's what the request is. Thank you.
I see Mr. Albert shares as well, so we'll let him speak for a minute. Thank you, Dave, for being here.
David Albert, project manager for Clarity and Collins Properties. So
I'm aware of the situation with the house right there. Understanding it's very difficult to live next to a construction site, and so we'll do whatever we can to be accommodating. We will tell the construction workers not to park there. We can actually have sign now. I don't know if the city wants to make up reserve if you guys approve that, but we're also willing to have signs made up saying this area parking is reserved for
Resident of 201.
201 specific to that address, but communicating to our contractors too that you are not allowed to park there, just like we do with the salon right there with, along Franklin Street to keep those businesses, free of the constant construction, workers parking there. So we can accommodate that and also remind them of the alternative parking options at 8th and Pine Street. There's plenty of other.
There are quite a few designated areas.
Yeah. We will try to move that fence away as soon as we can. We couldn't do it because of the restrictions of getting those semis in there and having to turn. The storage connexes had to go where they are, so we don't really have ability to move the fence at this time. Now, in the next few months, I think we could do that, but then we have the street construction that happens in there. But we'll do whatever we can to try to be accommodating to that resident to allow her to get better access with her vehicle into the garage there.
Sounds good. I like the idea of maybe putting some signage up there too for. I did speak with her, and that's really what she requested of me too, is just to not have to tote her groceries from, the next house down. We
can take care of that.
And then she's taking up someone else's parking, et cetera. So dominoes, what she feels. So.
Yeah, I don't know what the ordinances are, but if I'm happy to go to Graphic Arts and have them make up a sign. Whatever you guys do.
Okay, so hearing that, anyone else got any other comments about this? I'll open up for public comment.
Yeah, Tommy Klovic, 1316 Ohio Street. We really don't allow for reserved spaces for any private resident or business, but I think we can make an exception this course. We have put a sign like no contractor or commuter parking. We got all the various lots of city lots where the commuters and contractors can park. Kind of upsetting me, we're probably not collecting no fees for that, which I think we should. I guess you go ahead and allow this. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a kind of a interesting situation in that we've got the alley blocked off. We have her garage blocked off. She's kind of limited on her choices at this point in time.
Yeah, hi, Scott, too. I'm at Kenwood Place, Scott Malland. My thought was, is there a way to restore a lane of traffic to her garage and the alley? Clearly, there's issues with large trucks. The only way to enforce this a temporary no parking, though, would be for Corporal Wright to come and write tickets. So that's the downside. There's really no enforcement of this. I agree the ladies probably deserve a place to park. They shouldn't be denied access to their property. And since access is denied to their garage, we should make accommodations for them of some type. But enforcement is going to be spotty because, again, it would require a call to the traffic division for anything to actually be enforced. Just something to consider. Thank you.
And I'd say 90% of the vehicles that would be parking there is going to be construction workers. So we can police that the best that we can from our side and not allow people to move there. I don't think anyone else is going to be trying to park there. That's in the neighborhood. So.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Yeah, Tommy Polavic, 1316 Street. That's the problem, is the police really can't tell if it's the resident parking there or somebody else parking there. So that's the issue, just making it specific to that address. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Anything online? Okay, hearing none. What's the what's the board think about this? Any discussion?
So generally, I would be against on-street reserved parking, but even just pulling up this address on Google Maps from July of 2024, her property is a mess. The alley is blocked with the gate. There's cars and trucks parked every which way along that street. We've inconvenienced this woman enough. I feel like we can do our best to accommodate her.
I agree, and I don't think she's asking for something unreasonable. My conversation with her was very It was very reasonable what she was asking. She wasn't mad. She wasn't yelling at me or anything like that. It was a very reasonable request. So, I like the idea of the putting the parking up, saying, you know, specific to this address. I think that's different. So, I mean, I guess if Flaherty is willing to do it, how quickly do you think we could do it? I guess that's my question. Is that a reasonable time frame? End of the week. That gives him time to brief his construction contractors and things of that nature and get signed created. We got to get them. It'd probably take us that long to create them as well, I'd assume. I think that's a reasonable request or a reasonable solution. Don, you have any other comments?
Well, yeah, number one, I'd like to thank you, sir, for coming today and addressing this issue and seeing what the problem was. And I think we got it solved. Yeah.
I think we did too.
I think, put the signs up, put the address specific to the address. We all know it's going to be for the duration of the construction of the parking garage. And anybody, just like you said, Mr. President, it's a reasonable request. She has nowhere to park.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we took her parking away. It's not like someone, it was just, you can't park anywhere now.
Yeah, and I know she.
And I wouldn't expect her to walk 2 blocks with groceries or whatever the situation may be when somebody else took her parking away. And I know we all understand that. So I would greatly appreciate if this was passed. Thank you.
Attorney, I'm so sorry. Ms. Moore.
I have a real quick question. I also agree that this woman needs to have parking. But as I was looking at it, I'm kind of, how does the garbage pickup happen in the alley? Because the alley's closed off and all the garbage is in back. How do they get to the end of that alley? And the fence is there. What do they do? I'm just curious. They have to back up the whole way. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a very big alley.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. We have other alleys like that as well. Yep. Yep, our garbage guys they make it happen. Yep. So I'm trying to think of a motion for this. Are we okay? Would we be okay allowing the Flaherty to do this for us?
Yes, you just would need a motion to allow the temporary placement of the signage and approval during the duration of the construction until the obstruction is eliminated.
Do I hear a motion to that effect? Can we
I was gonna say motion to approve temporary signage.
Okay.
In front to accommodate 201 East 10th Street.
And we would greatly appreciate if we could get that in at the end of the week. That'd be amazing. Do I hear a second to that?
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And David, I really appreciate you jumping up. Thank you. Next order of business is a request for road repair. Sean Smith, Street Director, is requesting the approval of the proposal from Reith Riley to fix severe dips in the roadway on Franklin Street and Washington Street. Good morning.
Good morning, Sean Smith, Street Director, City of Mission City. I'm here today to ask the board to approve repairs for 2 locations within the city. The first one being the 1700 block of Franklin Street, heading northbound. There's a severe dip that is actually blocking the fast lane and the drive lane. It's making it unpleasant for motorists. I received the quote for that repair. It comes to $22,950. But the scope of work needs to be done. And there's also another one, Washington Street. As you cross over Highway 12 heading southbound, right by the post office, there's also a major dip there as well. That price comes to $12,600, a total of $35,000 for both repairs of work.
Thank you. Is there any requests or any questions of Mr. Smith?
I think this will satisfy public safety and
claims. Yeah, the one on 12 is pretty, it's pretty bad, especially if you're not prepared for it. I know people are swerving around it as well, and that's probably not a good thing either. So, any public comment on this?
Hi, Scott Melton, County Place. The only question is what's causing the dips? Do we have water leak, sewer leak, or if they're just going to put a patch over the top, it's only going to collapse more. So do these quotes include finding the source of what's creating the dip?
These are road compaction issues. The ground settles, limestone recedes, and we have cave-ins. Franklin Street, I actually inherited that from the sanitation department. Their sewer line, sewer work is complete. So it's just basically, we're gonna mill down the asphalt 2 inches, and we're gonna put hot mix asphalt in 2 inches. So.
Okay. Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, I'll close public comments. Any questions? What's the pleasure of the board, or any question or further questions?
Motion to approve.
For a second.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
And Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you for taking the time to do that, and thank you, city engineer, for helping out with that. Next order of business is a request for road repair. Councilman Don Prespolinski is requesting to fix a severe dip in the roadway at Gardena Street and Cleveland Ave. Repair the curbing removed by the water department. Mr. Prespolinski, what's yours?
Thank you, Mr. President. City Councilman Don Prespolinski, 215 Gardena Street. And yes, I'm making this request. I know that Sean Smith is aware of it. City engineer and Mr. Warner is aware of it. And talking to Mr. Smith, he said that that's something that the street department is going to take care of. The water department came through there, I don't know, wintertime, and they had to do a repair to a pipe. And the patches, I'm going to say, let's just say 8 feet by 8 feet, somewhere in that vicinity. And the curbing was tore out and never replaced. And even back then the dirt in the easement for the grass seed, that was never replaced. So to me, it was just a quick fix to get through the winter time. Now we got to fix it like it's supposed to be fixed as it originally looked at. To me, it's an eyesore. When work like that is done, it needs to be repaired. And I guess, I don't know if the Board of Works can relay this information, or if it's the city council or the city planner, but to the water department, when they do utility work like that on the city streets, and they tear out the blacktop, they tear out the curbing, that they get this repaired like it should be when the weather gets back into the reasonable, where you can do work. And the curbing, if you tear a 10-foot section of curb out, we'll put it back in the springtime in the fall or whenever, when it's nice out, to make it look like it was before it was tore out. To me, that's unacceptable. You can't be doing work, let it go. And we're trying to make the city look better, trying to make neighborhoods look better. And to me, that doesn't make it look better. I've been to cities where when they do work, when it's done, it looks like nothing was ever touched. And that's the way, to me, those are the expectations that we need to have in Michigan City. Thank you. So that's what my request is, with fixing the Gardena Street patch. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Call open for public comment.
Yeah, Tommy Kulava, 1316 Ohio Street. I agree with everything that Councilman Don Prespolinski just said. There's a missing sidewalk panel in front of 1506 Elston Street that was taken out 3 years ago, and they had the shut off for the water to the house. They had to have replaces. It was in the sidewalk. They had to move it over the curb. They never replaced the sidewalk panels. Having missing sidewalk panels on our sidewalks is unacceptable for Michigan City. So I get down to other cities, go downstate to Carmel, Fishers, Noblesville, Avon, Brownsburg. You know, they don't have that here. I think the water department's really gone down since Randy Russell left. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Good morning, Sean Smith, Street Director. We're gonna take a look at the utility cut. I'm also gonna sit down with Chris at the Water Department and express our concerns. This is a basic repair, so we'll take care of it.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, I'll close public comment.
So Sean, do we know if water department has this on a list to be repaired? But you're gonna ask Chris.
Correct, that is correct,
Okay.
yes.
So maybe should this board hold off on making a motion until you know for certain that the water department's not gonna cover this?
That is correct. I'll contact the Water Department. That makes sense.
Well, there's still another question of this, right? That's one piece of it. There's also a roadway dip as well. Correct?
Correct, but we have to make the determination if the utility cut.
Got you.
Is.
I
what's
understand.
causing this.
Sorry, I did not connect the dots there.
Yeah.
Yes, dots connected. Okay, that sounds good to me.
If I may, Scott Melantur, Kenwood Place. It sounds like there's a lack of accountability. You know, we all know that we can only pour concrete and asphalt in the construction season. But it sounds like, you know, they'll do the repair and then there's no finishing the job when the weather, it's like it's forgotten the finish up. If a person gets a permit to do work, there's a time limit to when it can be completed and it needs to be completed. So if that duty exists to citizens, it certainly exists with the city services. And I know we've had a lot of turnover and things like that in various departments, but they need tracking, you know, they need to track and complete the repairs that they start. And it's not enough that we, you know, fix it in January. Well, come April, May, June, it's time to complete the repair before you can say that's been completed. It's not done until it's done. And I think we probably all agree with that. So I don't know where the pressure can be, but the various departments need to, you know, finish the jobs they start. Thank you.
So Sean, you're gonna check on a kind of a list of things to do and have a discussion. That sounds great. I agree. Maybe we should table this and have. Do you think you can do that for our next meeting, or would you like? Okay. Could we table this item? Would that be appropriate till our next meeting, regular meeting? Okay. Give Sean time to talk with them, have a discussion. Can I have a motion to that effect?
Motion to table this until our August 19th meeting.
Is there a second?
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons? Aye. Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Sean. Our next order of business is a request for additional employees. Ron Lantrip, A Slice of Heaven, is requesting additional employees for his mobile food vendor license. Is Mr. Lantrip here? Okay, I do not see Mr. Lantrip. He's usually here when he does this. Let's see here.
This would just be adding one employee.
Okay. It looks, and he typically always has his information in order. Looks like
Yeah.
he's adding a Lane Huber. Okay. Yes. Do I hear any comments from the board, or Amber? Do you have any other?
No, everything's in order.
Everything's in order. What is the pleasure? Or I'll open up for public comment. Any public comment on this? All right. I'll close public comment. Anything online? I'll close public comment. Do I hear anything from the board? Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve. He's usually has everything in order.
Yes, he does.
Trust.
Yeah.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons? Aye. Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next order of business is payroll docket for July 12th, 2024. City payroll, July 26th, 2024, city payroll, and August 1st, 2024, police pension payroll. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Mr. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Moore,
Aye.
chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business is a claims docket for August 5th, 2024. Do I hear a motion on that
Motion
one?
to approve.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons,
Aye.
Mr. Tisdale,
Aye.
Ms. Moore,
Aye.
chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business are some updates. I know you've already been up here, David, but could I have you come up and just kind of give us a little bit on the time framing of where we're at?
David Albers, project manager for Flaherty and Collins. As things are going well, as things continue on this path, we'll be done with precast erection in September, and then starting to move into the next phases, which is concrete topping slabs, the MEP work, the iron, the steel for the train station facade, and start the terracotta reinstallation from what was salvaged from the old train station. We'll start up in the fall. But yeah, things are moving ahead as planned. No major issues, no problems that I'm aware of. I think we'll be able to lift the parking restrictions along Wabash and 10th once we are done with precast coming in. So hopefully that'll be right after Labor Day.
Good. Excellent. That's good news. I really thank you for coming up here and taking the time to work out the issue on 10th Street there. Thank you. Next order of business is update. And I talked to Terry Greetham before, actually I talked to him yesterday, and he asked me to hold this one over till our next regular scheduled meeting. He was at 120 hours of work at that point in time for the weekend. So he's let's give him a break. He had a big weekend. So I'll go to our next order. Next order of business is updates from the Parks Department. I see Will back there. Do you have any updates from the Park Department? Okay. Unfinished business. So I'll move on to unfinished business. The first order of business for unfinished business is contract. Michael Wolf, City Forester, is requesting the approval of agreement for urban forest contract or urban forest contractor. This was tabled July 1st, 2024. I do believe we've had the contract signed at this time. That was the issue. It wasn't signed last time.
The contract meaning the federal grant agreement.
Yes.
So the mayor has executed that document and that's all secured in place. Just to refresh the board's memory, several months ago, Mr. Wolf went out for a request for proposals to identify who could do our tree inventory for the grant. He has selected Great Lakes Urban Forestry, Inc. In the amount of $63,970 to perform this service for us for the grant. And we do have an updated agreement because we had to put a few extra terms in here because we are getting the monies from a federal grant. So we had to reflect that in the contract. And for the record, we do have the certification of non-debarment or suspension. So everything is in order at this time for the board to approve and award the proposal again to Great Lakes Urban Forestry, Inc.
Any questions? Okay, I'll open this up for public comment. Any public comment on this?
Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street. What is this contract actually, the details of it? Is it to remove trees, plant more trees?
Well, we'll let our tree board.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're still on the tree board, your formal tree board member.
Tim Werner, city engineer. This contract is basically for the overall
assessment of all of our trees. So basically for 3 months, they'll do an inventory of all the trees within the city right away, city property, parks, everything like that. Give a condition of those trees, estimate of age, and that we have to do that for this federal grant. That was part of the money of the grant. The $1 million grant we got was for this assessment and the inventory of all the trees that the city has.
Yes. And then the grant will cover planting, replacing, things like that.
That'll be after the assessment and figure out locations where trees can be planted based on that assessment and inventory. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So this has nothing to do with removal.
Not at this time.
Yeah, I think that's a shame because the last storm we had, if you just drive down King Drive, the tree problem is horrendous. Oak Hill Park, we call it Martin Luther King Park. It's bad. We still got branches just hanging there waiting to fall down, and it's not being addressed. I mean, I don't mind people planting trees, but at some point they become a problem to the next administration or administrations 10 years from now. King Drive is horrible, and something needs to be done about that. We had our fire department out there cutting down trees because it was hanging on lines. The fire department was doing this. At some point, this city needs to address Martin Luther King Drive. I'm tired of seeing this. I'm tired of seeing the condition of the roads, the trees. It's a nightmare. Thank you.
Yes, Tommy Kolavic, 1316 Ohio Street. A couple months ago, I tried putting in a request to have all the trees removed on my block because it's pursuant to section 102-38, 102-39. There are not supposed to be any small trees less than 3 feet from the curb. There's not be any trees for medium tree 4 feet and large tree 5 feet. Every one of those is out of compliance. You're not supposed to have a tree planted 35 feet from the corner. Under 102-39, you're not supposed to have any trees less than 10 feet from a fire hydrant. I walked around the northern blocks of Franklin, Uptown Art District. There must be about 7 or 8 of them in that area that's 10 feet from fire. One was right outside Amber's law office. This is unacceptable, and we need to get this done. Thank you.
Scott Melancher, Kenwood Place. It sounds like we have grant money for this. And the first step of removing trees is identifying the trees that need to be removed. It sounds like this inventory is the first step in a process to improve the conditions that many people are complaining about.
Correct.
I would say it sounds like a worthy thing to go forward with. Thank you.
Just want to make sure the record is clarified for the public. This is not to remove trees. It's only to plant trees, correct? And to count trees.
No, Tim Warner, city engineer, this current contract is purely for the assessment and inventory of the trees. We've got additional monies in the grant for tree removal, for those that need to be removed, and for planting of trees. That's all included in the grant. But this grant includes staffing with the forester. The city forester will have some staff in this grant. So there's a lot of things included in this 5-year, $1 million grant, including tree removal and new trees. But this particular contract right now is just the inventory, the first part.
Yes. Okay. Any other public comment online? Okay, hearing none, I'll close public comment. What's the pleasure of the board?
Just an added comment. Perhaps we need to have the city do an assessment of hanging limbs, as Mr. McCormick alluded to. I myself noticed them. You can ride 6th Ward and see a lot of hanging. We tried to address that with the city and Sean last year on Coward Road, where there were just like a hazard to the traffic. And there is a lot of hanging limbs that they need to just be whacked off. That's all. It's cosmetics. So perhaps we can address that.
Any other comments from the board?
So just as a reminder, our city forester did come to the board for funding for a bucket truck and for training city crew to take limbs down. So I do know that this is on his radar and something that he is intending to take care of.
Absolutely. It's nice to have city forester again. to do these things. And Sean, I do know that you guys been out trimming trees. They look really good. So just so you know, it's been a long time coming. All the street trees getting trimmed up where we can actually see around them. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve this contract so we can get started with this? We've been waiting for a while.
Motion to approve the contract for the urban forest.
Is there a second?
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
And chair votes aye as well. Our next order of business is a street vendor license. This was tabled from July 1st, 2024. Paul Cockrell, the Wienery, is requesting a street vendor license for 1 year. And I think we tabled this to give him an opportunity to bring in additional locations. I'm not sure if those have been submitted. Any additional locations?
I have not heard anything from him. And also like I sent out the agenda and emailed him and I've not heard anything back.
Okay. Yes, at this point in time, I'd entertain a motion to remove this from the board and maybe, or remove this from the tabling, or do we want to give him some more time?
It's up to the board if you want to give him more time. If you do not, then I think you need to deny the request for the license.
Okay, we don't need to move it off the table, but
Well, it was supposed to come back on the table at this meeting, so I don't think you need a motion to remove it.
yeah. What's the pleasure of the board? I feel like we've given pretty good time.
Motion to deny.
Support.
Okay. Hearing a second, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next order of business is a traffic sign request. Councilman Don Prespolinski is requesting to install school crosswalk signage at Cool Springs Ave and Cleveland Ave. This was tabled from our July 15th, 2024 meeting. Is any updates on that, you guys? Did I skip one? I'm so sorry. Let me come back to that one. I'll come back to the Gary. Anything new on this one though, Tim? Anything to add? You guys had time to look at it? For traffic signage. Sorry, I skipped one. Okay, Sean, you had some?
Which request is this? Is this the?
I skipped one, so I apologize. This was a traffic signage request, so it's actually the next one down from Gary DeLeo.
Oh, yeah. See, we could take that off the Board of Works. Agenda was taken care of.
Taken care of? Okay.
Yes.
So Gary DeLeo is complete,
Yes,
and your recommendation is to remove it.
correct.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I mean.
Sorry about
That's
that.
why I want to make sure. So let's just, for everyone's clarification, go back to
Yeah.
Gary DeLeo.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. So next order of business is a request for traffic signage. Gary DeLeo, 123 Glidden Ave, is requesting a dead end sign or no turnaround sign at the end of his block. This was tabled from July 1st, 2024. Give us your update, Sean, so it's in the record.
Yes, work has been completed. Actually, we did the no turnaround sign.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Excellent. Do we need to make a motion to take this off? Yes. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
Motion to remove this request.
Second.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you for doing that. Okay, so our next order of business is traffic signage request. Councilman Don Prespolinski is requesting to install school crosswalk signage at Cool Spring Ave and Cleveland Ave. This was tabled from July 15th, 2024. Is there any update on that one? Sean, you got anything on that one?
I believe at the last Board of Work meeting, Cool Spring and Cleveland, there's no ADA there's no sidewalk there. So I believe we would maybe talk to the engineering department about this. I don't think that we could put up a pedestrian sign and there's no sidewalks currently
Oh, so
installed at that intersection. We're talking about the intersection of Cool Spring and Cleveland Ave.
yes, where the
Yes.
new.
There's no sidewalks going across Cool Spring.
Okay, so you can't put a sidewalk there leading people.
They are going directly across Cool Spring.
Hey, Tim, can you come up to the, yeah, thank you. I can tell Andrew White's giving me thumbs up.
Tim Werner, city engineer. Yeah, there are ADA ramps there. I don't think the crosswalks are marked though, so if we had the signage, I think we need to just identify either the left or right side of the intersection, east or west, as the crosswalk, and have signs up if that's what the board desires. If we can, that should be the motion, to make sure street department paints the crosswalk and gets the signs installed.
And they would be going north-south, I
North,
assume?
south across Cleveland, yeah. It would be the same as the signs that are there at Tilden now, where the crosswalk's there, but there's no stop. At least in Cleveland, there's the stops.
Yeah. Will there be an offset with that crosswalk too?
Yeah.
There will be quite a bit of offset there. Yeah.
And there's no sidewalk once you get south of the south side of Cool Springs, so it's the same as going down Maple Street towards the school. There's no sidewalks going down to Edgewood or Parker.
Right.
So once we get south of the sidewalk on Cool Spring, the students are walking in the street.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Are you suggesting we not do that? Sorry, that was you led on with that one.
I'm suggesting the board find money for installing sidewalks down to the schools. How's that?
Sure.
But I think that there's, with the stop sign at Cleveland now, that's a good place for students to cross from north to south.
Okay.
And if they are doing that, they're walking in the street, either Maple or Boyd Circle or Cleveland, anyway, to get down to Edgewood School or Barker Middle School.
So should we table this, keep this on our table list for another, Sean, how long do you think? I know you guys got a crew out right now painting some keys. Are they?
Weather permitting, one day.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Do you want me to keep it on
Yes.
for one meeting or two?
Oh, one meeting should be fine.
Okay. Do I hear so that would be to August 19th? Is that correct? 19th. Do I hear a motion to that effect? So we keep it on, and then Sean will work with his street department employees in getting us some keys put in there for the crosswalk identification.
I motion to table this until our July or our August 19th meeting.
Yes. Support. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons. Aye. Mrs. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
President? Yeah, just going back to, I'm sorry, but going back to this request with this, with the, crosswalk sign is, I don't know if it has to be a new request, but I've seen these signs elsewhere in other cities, okay, crosswalk signs, and they're LED signs, and they're the person wanting to cross, they can activate the flashing around the
hawk sign,
the signage, to make it more noticeable to the vehicle coming up and down the street. So I guess I'm making a request that possibly we buy one of these LED signs to see how it works in the city as a experiment. And being on Cool Spring Ave, with the amount of traffic that comes up and down that street, I think that would be a good investment and a good test spot for something like this.
So you're looking at me, what I would do right now is research well, first of all, the question is, do we have such signs? If not, then do we acquire it? How much? Get quotes on that, if that is something the board would want to do.
Yeah. So, is there a directive on that for the board? I don't know. I know that they're quite expensive. I know those flashing signs are expensive. They're very expensive.
Can I ask a real quick question?
Absolutely.
Going back to Mr. Werner's comment about sidewalks from getting sidewalks to the school. Is that can that be researched also, or is that, how do we go about that process? I'm not sure.
I guess I would look to Mr. Warner to speak about the sidewalks, because there's never enough money for sidewalks, that's for sure. Yeah.
Tim Werner, city engineer. South of Cool Spring on Boyd Circle, on Cleveland, and that there's a lot of parking spaces adjacent to the road. There's trees in the park. There's a lot of issues that the reason why there haven't been sidewalks, that's probably part of it all the way along. But I can look into it, report back to the board at the next meeting, my estimate of cost to bring sidewalks down those streets based on our current bid prices that we have on the 2023 sidewalk or 2024 sidewalk program, and get back to the board.
Do you think the sign would help? I guess is my
Yeah, I mean, we've got the stop signs already there, so I mean, people are stopping at Cleveland anyway. So really, it's my concern is more at Tilden where there is no stop sign, and those signs are there at that location. But
yeah, that makes more sense to me. Typically, the flasher when you push a button is because something doesn't stop. It's a hawk.
Right. Yeah. So maybe a hawk somewhere else at Tilden or something might be the point. But I think adding the school zone crosswalk sign there at Cleveland is, a little added information to vehicles approaching that when school starts, there's going to be kids crossing in the mornings and afternoons. So it doesn't hurt.
So maybe we could at least get a price on what something like that might cost when you come back to us on the 19th.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've already made our motion. Do we need another motion to that effect?
You may want to amend the motion, so not only are you tabling it, but you're referring it to the engineer for estimate of sidewalk cost, and also referring to street department to further research the cost of an LED sign.
Yeah, let's do that if we can. Mr. Simmons, I believe you made the original.
No, I got it.
Oh, you got it. You got it. I'm so sorry.
I refer, I amend the motion to refer this to the city engineer for sidewalk costs and to the street department for the LED signage as well before our August 19th meeting.
Excellent. Is there a second to that effect?
Support.
Excellent. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale.
Aye.
Ms. Moore.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Our next order of business is a moving of a bus stop. Councilman Don Prespolinski is requesting to move the bus stop at Alfred Street and Franklin Street back approximately 8 feet to get a clear line of sight. This was tabled from our July 15th, 2024 meeting. Has everyone had time to go out and look at this?
I did include in your packets, Tamiko had sent you guys an email and I had printed that out and included it in all of your packets.
Yeah, and I believe Mr. Warner has made his official recommendation to us. Do you have any comments?
Yes. Don Prespolinski, City Councilman, 215 Gardena Street. And the reason I brought this in front of the board is not so much because of what I want as a city councilman, although I do believe it's unsafe, but due to the fact that there were residents that were questioning me of why it was put there and their request to have it removed because they think that it's unsafe. So I'd like to begin with, and I hope all the board members took the time to take a ride down there and look at the bus stop and get a personal bird's eye view of what we think the issues are there. The one thing, and I know that the city engineer went out and took pictures and did the Indiana State, and I'm sure you're gonna come up and explain, Mr. Warner, the Indiana State rules and regulations on sightlines. And I got the same copy, and I appreciate that. But when you look at that, what you have to take into consideration is when you stop at the stop sign and there's no traffic coming, okay, and that's what it looked like when what I was looking at. I don't see any car flow and don't know what time of day it is, if it's 10 o'clock in the morning when there's a little bit of traffic, or if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon when there's a lot of traffic going up and down Franklin Street. And you look to the south, and you can look in between the bus stop and the stop sign and the Goodwill sign, and you can see, I don't know, 200 feet down or whatever the measurement is. Oh, that's fine. That's perfect conditions. But then when you pull up a little bit, and now you have the bus stop blocking your view coming down for whatever coming down Franklin Street, you can't see cars. You can't see the traffic coming at you. So you go from here, from the stop sign, you move down maybe what, 10 feet, and now you look to the south, you can't see what's coming at you. And then with the big advertising boards that are sitting on the sides of these bus stops, you can't even see through the bus stop that has all the perforated holes in it. So if you would take, those off, maybe you could see through that bus stop to see what's coming. I know I explained myself at the last meeting. I've explained myself now, and I think it's pretty simple of what the facts are, what the issues are here. And just one more thing, that when you make your initial stop at the stop sign, and now you start moving up, and now you get by the bus stop where you can't see down the street, and now you have to pull up another 3 or 4 feet, possibly. And now you're 3 to 4 feet away from the traffic that's coming northbound on Franklin Street. I mean, is that safe? If something happens where, an elderly person possibly is driving the vehicle and they can't react to something, and I know we're all supposed to be responsible, but to me, putting that bus stop in that particular place can be, all these safety issues can be alleviated if it's just moved back a certain distance and re-screwed into the ground. There's already blacktop there. We go talk to the owner of the business. Would you like to give us this property? If not, we'll purchase it for, I'm sure not a lot of money, and we'll just move this bus stop back. It's not, to me, I think people are making a bigger deal out of it than it is. We're not reconstructing the whole site. We're just moving it back because there's already blacktop there. And I think it's going to be safer for everybody. And I know there's always a question, well, was there an accident there? Has there been an accident there? I don't know if there has been or not. Maybe there hasn't been. But it's all about being proactive before an accident does occur there and something serious occurs. And then maybe the traffic division will come back and take a look at it and say, maybe we should move that bus stop back and get it out of the way so we can actually see down Franklin Street. And since the traffic commander is here, it might be a good opinion, if the board would want to get his opinion on this bus stop and where it should be at. I don't know if he was included in the initial discussion when the city administration was looking at blueprints on where the bus stops are at or where they're going to go, and everybody was agreeing upon it. And like I said at the last meeting, there was a meeting, and even the bus director said that there was a meeting, but at that time, all this was on blueprints. Nothing was constructed. Well, now it's constructed, and there's a difference, I think, between the blueprints, what's constructed. Was there a sightline study done?
Yes.
When those blueprints were out? Because I'm sure if there was a sightline study done at that time, maybe the one on Woodland Ave wouldn't have been placed in the wrong spot also. So that's my request from the board. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to have Mr. Warner come up just for a minute. Thank you, Tim, for taking the time to draw out all the sight lines. I know you spent some time on this. Can you just make your official recommendation? I appreciate it. And yes, there was everything was done. Sight lines were looked at. They went through public comment and went through the Board of Works, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of times. And I even think it was presented to council as well. So it went through many iterations of things to do with this. No.
Tim Warner, city engineer. I think all of you as board members have seen my report on sight distance and sight lines and things. When you're stopped at the stop sign, you can see all the way to the St. John Road intersection signal and everything. If there's no cars parked in the parking lot at the grocery store and the barber shop, those cars, vehicles parked there in the parking lots against Franklin Street are really a sightline issue and not the bus stop, in my opinion, looking at it. So you can see 400 feet down the road, you can see the cars stopped in the turning lane on St. John to turn northbound. So when you're stopped there, you know what traffic's coming. There's a signal right there at St. John Road stopping. From the time the light changes, it's greater than 7.5 seconds, which is the sight line distance of 370 feet. So as you look behind the bus shelter at the stop sign, you can clearly see all the way down to St. John Road, and you have time to make the left turn if there's no traffic coming from the north. So the option I would say, rather than move the bus stop, is say no left turn, use Barker. You got a signal there to make the left turn. So anyway, that's the engineering position.
Yeah, I can appreciate you, Tom, doing that. What's any comments or questions of Mr. Warner? Before we get to
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm also concerned about the ones that you can't see around, specifically maybe on Barker down by Cleveland and Franklin. That's very difficult also. But my question is, those signs, can they be removed that are on the bus stop? I know that that's for advertising. Can they be removed? Because then you might be able to get some visibility, just not all of them all over the city, but does that help anything?
I do not know if they can be removed. I think they're integrated in. I do not know. Does it void any warranties or anything of that nature? I'm looking back at our street director.
Scott Molitor, Kenwood Place. There's another outside the box thinking. You could make Alfred one way eastbound, eliminating people coming out there. As far as I know, there's not really too much behind there, and there are other streets that access that little pocket. If we made it one way eastbound, you eliminate the problem of people coming out and affected sight lines. Also, before there was a bus stop, there wasn't a problem. When we make changes, when we have progress, there are often trade-offs. And clearly this was engineered, it met all appropriate things. And it's at best, it's an inconvenience and a possible danger, but maybe we adjust the street flow to eliminate it completely. Thank you.
Any other questions of the board to?
That's a great idea, and I like that. But healthcare, HealthLink, that could create another issue as far as traffic goes. Increase, yes.
So we've heard the recommendation of the city engineer.
Can we hear from the corporal out there?
You're on. Go for a ride.
So it's the first time hearing about it. That said, we were just talking, to my knowledge, there has not been any crashes there whatsoever since the bus stop has been put in there.
Yeah.
So with that said, I mean, I know there was a crash there earlier this year, but it was on the other side of the street, not involved with the bus stop. So that said, again, no crashes have happened because of the bus stop or any line of sight issues.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Tommy Kalava, 1316 Ohio Street. And I think those signs could be removed. I think they just show like the timetables for the various routes, like for the transit triangle and that. I'm going to say it again. We need to be more of a modern city. You go to other cities, they actually have a digital display that shows the GPS. It's just a solar hookup. It'll show the GPS. It'll show it right down in the minute when the bus is going to arrive at your stop. We need to get with the times. Thank you.
Any other comments? Any other comments? Any public comment online? Ms. Moore, did you have a comment? Don.
Okay, just but a question. So earlier, Mr. President, did you say, when you were saying different departments were reviewing the bus stop diagrams?
Yes.
Did you mention the city council?
I believe you guys were presented the plans for the bus stops.
Okay, I know we never sat down and had a meeting and reviewed them.
Yeah.
We could have been sent them. I don't remember it, but we never sat down and had a meeting with
Pretty
them.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll one more and then I'm closing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Second bite of the apple. I was just reviewing a map. Joyce Street is the next street to the north of Alfred Street. There's no functional difference to access the new, what's that medical thing that was built there?
HealthLink.
There's no functional difference accessing HealthLink there, or in fact, my one-way idea would make it easier to get there and people would exit on Joyce Street or Barker. And for turning left, you get further distance from the St. John light anyway at Joyce Street to make a left turn, which is harder than a right turn there.
Yeah.
So, again.
All right, appreciate your
Thank you.
comment. Let's see our transit director slowly coming up here. So come on, tell us your thoughts.
Robin Tillman, Transit Director. The advertisement signs are part of the structure, and I think it would compromise it by removing it. I also, it's like, drove the city and there's a number of locations that your sight line is impeded by traffic. It's like on Michigan Boulevard and 7th Street. We have a shelter there, but it's like the parked cars block your view.
Yes.
And you have to proceed with caution. And that's throughout the city.
Not just around bus stops either.
Correct.
So, yeah. Yes, there are numerous ones in the city that aren't cause. They're proceed with caution that aren't just bus stops. There's trees, there's parked cars, signs, fences. Unfortunately, it just is a lot of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Snowman, while you're there, you said that the signs that are on the bus structures right now would impact the structure if they were removed?
Well, the framing, and underneath the framing, I'm not sure if there's a steel plate, if there's anything else between the two sides that would impede your vision.
Could we find that out?
Without damaging them, I'm not sure.
Oh, you don't have?
No.
I can open the door. I can open the doors, but in between there is a plate, and I'm not sure if that plate can be removed without damaging the structure of the shelter.
Yeah.
So to be clear, you're saying even if you remove that advertisement, there is already a solid
barrier
blockage there.
There's already a barrier there.
I'm going to close public comments. Is there any thoughts from the board? I've driven this route many times now. I do not have an issue pulling out, and I always go south just to make sure that I'm not tricking myself. I've driven it numerous times, and I agree with the city engineer that we should move it. But what is the pleasure of the board?
Yeah, I too have driven it numerous times over the past 2 weeks, and I haven't had any issues going south. I mean, day, night, morning. I just haven't. So I would hope my assessment would count.
Is there a motion from the board? Do we need to, if we take this up and we vote, do we need to take it off the table list, or can we just vote? I think we can just vote.
You can just vote because it was tabled until this meeting.
Do I hear a motion?
But if I can just real quick, I mean, I drove it as well. So my opinion's a little bit different. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't totally comfortable at that. That's why I asked the city engineer to get involved and provide us with the hard data that it passes the sightline distance. And I shared that with Councilman Przebalinski, my thoughts on it. But I also shared with him too, when I feel unsafe in a situation, I change my driving pattern. So I wouldn't be turning southbound. I'd go up to a light. So I would just change my driving pattern.
Well, again, I like the one way. suggestion. Can we look at that?
I think that's a much more involved situation and where you gotta, I think that's a whole different thing. Because then you got to talk to HealthLink and just make sure we're not impacting their flow of traffic. Does a bus go? The idea is that eventually a bus will go. If Ivy Tech ever gets built, a new Ivy Tech, that they would deliver to that campus. So we want to make sure we're not impacting any of those future things. But I think that's something today. Our business at hand is move or not move a bus shelter. Do I entertain a motion? Anyone?
I make a motion to deny this request.
Do I hear a second?
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Motion denied. Okay, our next order of business is a request for a stop sign. Nanette Domkowski of 412 East Cool Spring Ave is requesting to have the stop sign at Tilden Ave and Cool Spring Ave clip back up. And this was tabled from July 15th, 2024. What's our recommendation on this one?
Tim Warner, city engineer. As I've stated before, once a stop sign is removed, it's hard to put it back up. Now you're causing more accident probabilities as people are used to it not being there and rear-end somebody who stops. So no, my recommendation is no, do not put the stop sign back. There's been no increase in accidents there. In fact, it might even be less over a long period of time if we look back far enough. The rear-end accidents are gone there. People don't expect to stop, but it's pleasure of the board. It's not an engineering recommendation to put the stop sign back up.
Any questions of Mr. Warner? I'll open for public comment. Do I hear any public comment? Of course. I'm messing with you.
Got out of bed for this.
Good.
Scott Mellon, Turner County Place. I travel that intersection regularly. I live a block and a half from there. I came through that intersection to come to this meeting. I'll go through it on the way back home. I congratulate the board and the street department for the enlarged caution signs. I think they've made a huge difference there.
I agree with that.
I have not seen any backups there or problems. I think that intersection is working quite well the way it is. And as I relayed at a previous meeting, speaking to the chiefs at Coffee with the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, they all said give it 30 days. New patterns are always going to cause a little consternation at the beginning. I think this is working very well. The four-way Cleveland is well needed, especially in the school season. So I would recommend, of course, leave it the way it is. It seems to be working just fine. Additionally, I've never seen more than once I was the third car at Tilden to turn, and it moved quickly. So I think that intersection is working well the way it is.
Excellent.
Without the stop signs. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay. Yeah. You're okay. Take your time.
Yeah, hi. My name is Doug Crane, 2937 Cleveland Avenue. I can tell you, I've lived there for about 25 years now. Before, on whatever days, what have you, the backup going north on Cool Spring was pretty bad. I mean, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars. There's no backup anymore. My only concern is if the stops, I mean, I'm not the one, whatever. I've been proposing this four-way stop there now for like 6, 7 years. Finally, it happened. The only concern I have is maybe if there's not a stop sign, maybe some kind of signage or what have you, because you have kids walking to Edgewood School that have to cross Cool Spring. And they do cross at Tilden.
At Tilden, okay. Just making sure.
Yes, that's my only concern.
Okay.
I mean, my kids are well grown up. I mean, I've tried to get a four-way stop sign since basically they were in Edgewood School. because people fly down Cool Spring. Like I said, the traffic's gone less. It was well needed there, like everybody said, because if you're going westbound, you're actually blocking part of Cleveland Avenue. Because basically you couldn't go, I mean, I've sat there for 3-4 minutes trying to cross School Spring, but I'm gonna make it real quick here. Maybe some kind of signage or and I know they may be expensive, but like a little flashing yellow light where during school hours or from, say, school's out at what, 3 to 4, 15 miles an hour, just in that 1 or 2 blocks. That's my only concern. Is the kids going to walk in the Edgewood, because I've seen it. They do. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Thanks for coming out this morning. Okay, so we do have,
I'd just like to add to it, Skylar, Scott Melcher, Kenwood Place. That's a great suggestion, of course. Very, sounds like something worth looking at. I would just point out to the board that at Tilden and Cool Spring, the crosswalks have been restriped in the last week or two. And we do still have the children crosswalk sign is still there. And I think as a previous comment was, maybe we look at one of those hawk signs for that intersection. But just letting the board know the crosswalks have been restriped there at Tilden. Thank you.
So it sounds like to me, the request at hand is to put the stop signs back up. So let's just deal with that, because it sounds like we've covered exploring that intersection and what's going to happen there in a previous motion that we amended, and we'll have that coming back to us on August 19th. So let's just deal with the stop sign at hand. You've heard recommendation from from our city engineer. At this time, I'll close public comment. Do we have any other thoughts from the board, or do we want to hear a motion?
I would say motion request denied, and I agree with the engineer. We don't want to confuse the public no more than we already have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's all get used to it.
Yeah. So is that an official motion?
Yes. Motion to deny.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Santisto?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. We appreciate all your attention to this, Engineer Werner. Next order of business, traffic control. Scott Malin, 200 Kenwood Place, is requesting to change the traffic signal at the Nickty crossing so that people won't run the red lights going northbound after the train passes and the gates go up. This was tabled from June 17th, 2024. I do believe Mr. Werner has been doing some work on this.
Tim Werner, city engineer. I requested a proposal from our signal maintenance firm to modify the signals there at 11th and Franklin to remove the left turn movement cycle altogether. I approved that proposal. It was $1,300 to do that modification. It was approved and sent to him on Friday, so I haven't heard back from him when the schedule was, but within the next 2 weeks, that turning movement up from southbound Franklin to eastbound 11th will be removed, and that cycle phase will be gone. So they'll turn green both northbound and southbound in Franklin at the same time.
And 11th Street will become demand.
And 11th Street will be just a permitted turn rather than protected.
Excellent.
Just like everywhere else.
Correct. That makes so much sense.
Any questions from the board?
I think the cost will be well spent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw someone run it this morning right next to me when I'm sitting there.
In fact, the mayor told me she did it once. After she went through, she's like,
It's very confusing.
I think I might have even done it once when it first opened up. So yeah, it is very confusing because you see the cars coming at you, moving, and you just, oh, the gate's up, let's go.
Yep.
So yeah, so that will remove that issue. So
any public comment on this?
Scott again. I'd just like to thank the city and the engineer for looking into this and making such quick work of it. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other public comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll close public comments. What's the pleasure of the board? You guys want to keep this on here until it's officially gone in place? Okay. You want to table this to our next August 19th meeting?
I make a motion to table this until our August 19th meeting to make sure it gets completed.
Support.
Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. I really appreciate the time spent on this. It's worth it. I agree. Next order of business is road surface repair. Erica Murray, 3213 Springland Ave, is requesting to have the pitched road fixed in front of her home due to groundwater getting too high and not being able to drain into the storm basin. And I believe, Mr. Warner, you've been taking care of this. This was tabled from our June 3rd meeting, 2024.
Yeah, thank you. Tim Warner, City Engineer. I discussed this with the Sanitary District Stormwater Division. They're having some changes in personnel there, so I'm not sure exactly where this has gone. So I'll have to kind of investigate a little further and see where this one's at.
Okay. So should we table this to our August 19th? Is that time, or do you want longer?
The August meeting's fine.
Okay. Mr. Warner's requesting some time to follow up with his stormwater division. Could we entertain that to August 19th?
Make a motion to table until August 19th.
Support. Call for the vote. Mr. Simmons? Aye. Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you. Our next order of business. Oh, I'm so sorry. Next order of business is street enhancement. Dana Racky, 508 East 2nd Street, is requesting to install a curb, gutter, and possibly a sidewalk to the east side of Taylor Street at 216 Taylor. This was tabled from November 6, 2023. Have you had any further discussions with this? I know the sanitary district was working on it. And
It's pretty much the same issue as the spring one just prior. There's been some change in staff there at the sanitary district, and I just need to follow up with them and see where this is at. I know this has been looked at prior to my coming here, so I know there was a process in mind to try to address the stormwater issue entering their front door. So I'll have to follow up with Chris Yagelski and the sanitary district stormwater division to see where that's at. I'll get back to you on the August 19th meeting.
Okay, so you want to table this one to August 19th as well. So we'll keep this one on our table list. Do I hear a motion to that effect to table this to August 19th?
Motion to table to August 19th. November the 20th.
Yeah, I'd love to see this one get off. I was
23.
I was thinking that same thing. I'm like,
a long time.
Get this one off of here. So is that an official motion, Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. I hope we can get this one off of our list very soon. Okay. Our last order of business today is public comment. Any public comment? Oh, I'm so sorry.
How about the Prespolinski appeal? Were you going to address that?
Yes, we can address that. Yes. I believe that Mr. Paul Prespolinski had an appeal. I do not remember his address. Yeah, and he has requested a further continuance, and I do believe it is due to a health-related issue. And he has requested, did he give us a request to when?
No, he did not. He just asked for a continuance again of this hearing.
Say that if we did this continuance, it would be at the next Board of Works meeting, which will be the August 19th meeting. What's the pleasure of the board? Do you guys want to grant a continuance for this to the August 19th meeting?
I have a real quick question. It seemed like the process that is being discussed or asked for is past the 30-day time period from the date of the notice. Is that correct?
It's way past the 10-day notice. However, because he timely filed an appeal, the order has not become a final order that we can act upon. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
he's
so he did follow the rules. He filed it in time. He asked for a continuance at that meeting. We granted that continuance. So therefore, he's almost, I would say, vested in that time frame. If I'm looking at Attorney Bill, he's vested in that, meaning that if we granted, even though he's outside his 30-day time frame, he did file the appropriate motions.
And one more question, has an attorney been secured by him? Do we know if that, because that's why we granted the continuance last time, right?
Yeah,
I've received no communication. I don't know if you have, Attorney Beal. No. But if the board does grant the continuance, I would just recommend that our Madam Clerk just send him out notice of the next date and time where she's ordered to appear. Because if at that one he doesn't appear, the board could still go forward.
If it's not granted today, then what happens, Attorney LePage? Do we have the hearing today?
You would have the hearing today, but for all intents and purposes, what I would tell you is this Board of Works pending items list, if this went out to the public, it does say 8/19 date, so I would be concerned that he may have already thought it been continued.
Oh,
so
that's
in all fairness.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Do I need to open this up for public comment?
I don't think you do, but
yeah, I'm not going to. What's the pleasure of the board? Do we want to continue this?
Yeah, motion to continue it until August 18th.
19th.
19th, yeah.
Is there a second to that fact? Larry? Anyone?
Support.
I'll call for the vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Ms. Tisdale?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, so now on to our last piece of business. I'll open up for public comment. Any public comment?
Yes, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I just want to wish Mayor happy, safe travels in 2 weeks by the time we next meet. She's a state delegate to the Democratic National Committee, so she's going to be at the convention at the United Center in 2 weeks. So the only problem I have was I wish she could take me with her on some of these things. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm proud that she goes around and doing all these things. She either go there or she go to the Accelerated Indiana Municipalities Conference in Madison, Indiana, which is taking place at the same time. She said, "No, I'm going to the convention. I'm a delegate. Thank you."
Excellent. Any other public comment? Anything online? Oh, hey, Rodney. How you doing?
Hello, Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street. For the record, the shot spotter that was destroyed by a patron of Burnham Brewery still has not been replaced. That's on the corner of Cook and 12. I don't know what's the holdup with things happening in our neighborhood, but it's something needs to be done about it. I'm also here to complain about the upkeep of the parking lot and some of the property of Burnham Brewery. If you ride past there, you will see that grass is exceeding over 3 feet now. And it's something that is the corner of the alleyway, the property they have, everything against their building is done nice. They take care of that, but they don't take care of the parking lot and they don't take care of the frontage that belongs to them as well. Something needs to be done. Everybody in my neighborhood has cut their grass. They take care of their grass. Sean will attest to that as well. We are tired of seeing this eyesore. You know, I mean, they need to take care of their property. The city gave them a lot of money and went out of their way and bend over backwards for them to get that building and do the things that they're doing there now. The least you can do is keep that grass cut and maintained. And it's I shouldn't have to keep coming to these board meetings talking about that. Next is a house, empty lot adjacent to right across the street from my home. It's a lady that owns it. It's a LLC. I think she owns like 4 lots in our neighborhood. She's planting these trees there. I don't even know if she even got the approval from the tree board or whatever, but her grass, she refused to cut her grass. Now, I guess it's okay when you live in Valparaiso. When you reside, you drive home, you go to Valparaiso. Guarantee your grass cut over there in Valparaiso. I guarantee you. I'm not going to put up with it too much longer in our neighborhood. We're tired of seeing it. Everybody in our neighborhood cut the grass. They try to edge sidewalks to do the right thing, and we're good neighbors. But here we get these new people that come in, and I guess they feel they're entitlement. They don't have to do what they should do. We have an ordinance in place, and it should be enforced. And I believe that's Mr. Kelly's position, far as going over and baiting it and getting something done. This is enough. I believe Mr. Schuyler, I believe that you also spoke with the person. And this is not the first time we had this issue, but it should be the last. And then on a good note, I just want to thank the street department and Knowles Tree Service. Unfortunately, we had another large, outdated tree fall down right at the top of the hill at our youth center at the Martin Luther King Center, 805 Martin Luther King Drive. It was pretty bad and took all the power lines out, everything. NIPSCO took a little bit longer, but no tree service stand. No came right out, and he does what he does all the time. Cut the tree up, put it up to the street, so the street department comes. Sean, we truly thank you for assisting us, and over the years, not just that one instance, but over the years. It's good to have people like Knoll Tree Service stand, being in business for over 50 years, continually helping the community, and maybe one day the community can give him business as well, because like I said, King Drive is terrible. And on another note, I just want to thank Don Prespolinski. I've been doing this for a little bit over 10 years, 12 years coming to these board meetings, city council meetings. I see people come and go when they get elected. This is the prime example of what you need to do when you represent the city. It's hard being a public servant, but to get up and drive in the neighborhoods and spend time in the neighborhood and love the city that you're in, and it don't make no difference where the city or where's the complaint or what's going on. Sometimes people don't even have to complain. You can always rely on Don Prespolinski to be there, and he's going to bring those issues to the front. I just wish that more elected officials quit seeking titles just to have a title and just to be a yes vote for nonsense, and represent the people. Even those who don't support them, you have to still support them. You have to still serve those individuals. Don Prespolinski, you've done a great job. And this community should be proud to have you as a city council member. And I'm going to give you your flowers right now. You've done a lot over all of these years. I just want to say thank you.
Any other public comments?
Hi, Scott Melantur, Kenwood Place. Couple things. I read the city contract with the flock cameras and the shot trackers, and it's my understanding, if I read it correctly and remember correctly, that maintenance is the responsibility of flock, not on the city. So whoever is managing that contract should put some pressure on them to repair the shot spotter. It's on them. We pay them $200,000 a year, essentially. So let's get our service. Not to speak against Mr. McCormick, but people are allowed to plant trees on their property. In fact, in a major national publication in the last 2 weeks, the Washington Post, there was an article about weed ordinances. Many people, especially people who are planting trees, might be trying to go native with their plantings. And they even had a link to model legislation to allow native plantings not to be considered weeds. So what might look like an unkept lot, and it very well may be, I don't know the situation, it could also be somebody trying to plant natives, which if it's done wrong, does look like weeds. It's just something to keep in mind before we just, some people they're not entitled as much as they're trying to do good from their own perspective. But if it's an unkept lot with just weedy weeds, that's a whole different matter, and I agree with Mr. McCormick. But yeah, let's get on flock. Let's get our $200,000 worth. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Anything online? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna close public comments. Any board comments? Do I hear any? Okay, we've made lots of comments today, so. I'll just say one comment, congratulate Ted Greetham and his team and the CVB for a very successful boat race weekend. We really appreciate all the hard work, and thanks to the police department, and all of our EMA and all of our emergency management groups. We can't do it without you guys, so. I'll entertain adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
We're adjourned.